Hey guys, my name is Eric Lee, and I help lead the skit team at the Austin Stone's downtown campus. Now, as you've probably heard by now, this summer our kids' programming is called Dig, Uncovering God's Great Story. Now, the characters for Dig are Professor Papadopoulos and his raccoon sidekick named Fuzz. Fuzz is a puppet, and this video is to help you learn a little bit about how to become a puppeteer so you can become Fuzz. In the box of supplies you should have gotten from our central office, you should find three things. First, the puppet. Second, 2 black arm rods with a white tip. And third, 3 white gloves that look like this. The first thing you'll need to do is take the arm of your puppet like this and make sure that you kind of smash down the filling next to his hand. Then you'll take one of the arm rods, and if you look, it's got a loop at the end. And you'll slide that loop down over his arm like this, and that'll allow you to control his arm. You'll also want to make sure that there's a separation where his elbow will be. Make sure that the filling has been smashed out of that so it will be able to bend freely like as it does here. You'll take and do the same thing with the other hand. Once you have both of the arm rods slipped onto his arms as they are here, then you'll move on to the next step. Take the white cotton glove that's in your kit and you'll put it on your hand. This glove simply serves as a sweat catcher so that when your hand is up in the puppet and getting very warm, you won't be leaving behind a nice slimy mess for the next puppeteer. It helps preserve our puppet, and hopefully it'll help Fuzz keep from smelling quite as bad by the end of the summer. Alright, now that you've got your glove on, it's time to put on Fuzz. Make sure when you have the arm rods on your puppet that the puppet's thumb is pointing away from the arm rod. And with that, you'll take your hand and slip it inside the puppet. On the upper part of his mouth, you'll find that there's a half of a ball. You'll curve your fingers around that ball like this. It helps you hold on to the puppet as you're manipulating it and makes for a lot easier puppeteering. That being said, you ready? Let's meet Fuzz.
Hey guys, is this thing on?
Yeah, Fuzz, it's on. So there you have it. Here is Fuzz. Fuzz, as you can tell, is a raccoon who wears an awesome red bandana. Now I'll teach you a little bit about how you can manipulate Fuzz and get the best use out of your brand new puppet. Fuzz's arms are designed so that when you're not using the arm rods, they'll hang down by his sides in a semi-natural position. Although right now he looks a little like Arnold Schwarzenegger. You may have to bend the arms a bit and soften them up. They're stuffed pretty tightly with fiberfill. Alright, so the first rule of puppetry is learning how to enter and exit your puppet. Some people have a tendency to just sort of pop in or out. But this is not really a natural thing. The best way to think about it is as if your puppet is walking up and down a flight of stairs. So I'll get down on my knees and show you what it might look like to have Fuzz enter. As you can see, I moved the puppet towards the stage and bounced him up and down. Now if I was going to exit, I would do the same thing, only I would turn around and I walk down the other way. This prevents the stereotypical problem of the elevator puppet or the escalator puppet. It's not the end of the world, but it does look better. Using the arm rods can be a little more tricky for a beginning puppeteer. Try using just one at first, and then eventually you might be able to do things with 2 arm rods, things like clapping, having him hide his eyes, etc. But again, that's things you're going to have to practice to learn. One of the most important things you're going to have to do as you're manipulating Fuzz is decide on a voice for him. As you heard earlier, when I did Fuzz, I kind of used a little bit of a child voice, kind of a nasally thing, which you can choose to do, or you might choose to do a, "Hey there, my name's Fuzz." Yeah, and that works as well. Find what's comfortable for you, and remember you're going to have to use it repeatedly. So don't do something you can't make happen again, or something that's going to wear out your voice. One of the most common mistakes puppeteers make is when they begin to voice their puppet and the way that they move their mouth. Remember that as we move our mouth, it doesn't necessarily open with every syllable. So if I said Professor Papadopoulos, you could do, as Fuzz was saying that, you could say Professor Papadopoulos. Or you could just say Professor Papadopoulos. It makes for a lot less work for your hand, and you'll become fatigued a lot slower if you choose which syllables to open the mouth. Which brings me to my next point. Make sure as you're speaking with Fuzz that you don't bite the words. Often as beginning puppeteers start, they choose to, like this.
They choose to bite the words and close the mouth every time it should be open.
And it looks, well, it looks odd. Instead, think about how you can open the mouth with each syllable.
That's right. You should open my mouth with each syllable instead of closing it.
That's right, Fuzz. Thanks for your help. Make sure you articulate your words clearly and speak loudly so that the children will be able to hear Fuzz as he speaks during the skit. Ask one of your fellow skit team members to watch you as you puppeteer and give you some pointers for things you might be able to improve. The last thing I want to cover is about how to manipulate the mouth. Oftentimes, when beginning puppeteers start, they would take their mouth like this and they would sort of open both ends of your hand, both the top and the bottom. But actually what it looks more natural with the puppet, I'm going to turn my hand sideways so you can see this, is to just drop your thumb. So my hand, the upper part of my hand is pretty much stationary. Now it may move up and down a little bit, but mostly I'm going to move my thumb as I talk.
So it might look something more like this.
The other alternative, which I'll show you why you don't do that in a minute,
is to do like this. It kind of looks okay with just your hand, but watch what happens when I put the puppet on.
So we call that in puppeteering world flipping your lid, and we want to avoid it because here's what happens when you do it.
If you do it, look at how Fuzz opens his mouth all the time.
The last time I checked, I don't open my mouth when I talk like this. It doesn't look natural. And I bet you don't either. If you do, we may have bigger issues. Instead, I'm going to drop my thumb and open my upper part of my hand
Just slightly. Slightly. You see? Then it looks more natural. Yeah! Natural. Like me. I'm a raccoon.
You're going to need to figure out how to give your puppet personality. Try not to just have him sit up on the stage and don't move. Make eye contact with the professor as he's talking to Fuzz and as Fuzz is talking to him. Often as puppeteers, we have a tendency to stare up into the sky or stare down onto the ground. But that's not what we do when we talk. Make sure that his eyes, think about the line going from his eyes, where they're looking. If you're not talking to the professor and you're talking to the kids,
Look down and talk to the kids instead of looking up and talking to the stars. Or looking down and talking to the floor tiles, which may be very pretty, but not too interested in what you have to say.
I think that's about all the pointers I can give you in a quick 5-minute video. Remember, the most important thing is to have fun and make sure you're heard. Children are pretty forgiving when it comes to puppet manipulation. We want to strive for excellence, but understand that you'll make mistakes, and that's okay. The important thing is that we're sharing the gospel, and we are making that clear through both Fuzz and the professor. As long as that happens, you've had great success as a skit team member. If you have any questions, feel free to email me or call me. Maybe I can help you out.
I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Sorry it's such a bad quality, but this guy behind me, the one with his hand up me, yeah, he's not the brightest when it comes to these things.
Hey, Fuzz, that's not very nice.
Sorry.
Well, I think that's it for today, guys. Good luck, have fun, and dig deep. So long.